This episode is brought to you by Movement Chiropractic Memorial, Herman's Best Family Injury Chiropractic Care Center. The team at Movement Chiropractic is dedicated to enhancing your well being through personalized chiropractic care. They offer care using industry leading modalities like shockwave therapy, cold laser therapy, and spinal decompression. Dr. Teagle also practices out of the Memorial location, who trains BJJ, so he can help you with any injuries that happen on the mat if you would like. So, if you're struggling with nagging injuries or have an active lifestyle that requires maintenance, head on over to Movement Chiropractic Memorial and use code MINDSET to receive 25% off your first visit when you call or book online. Movement Chiropractic, United by Movement. That is Movement, MVMT, Chiro.com. Again, schedule an appointment at the Memorial location using code MINDSET for 25% off your first visit. Book. You won't regret it.
Hey, as we get back into society, let's remember, people will punch you in the fucking mouth.
Welcome back to the Mad Mindset. Today, I'm here with four-time national Muay Thai champ Jacob J. Bob or Jacob Cowboy Berry, whichever one you go by. I haven't figured it out
A
just yet.
little bit of both. J Bob's my old school name from when I was a teenager, and it kind of
Okay.
carried over.
Gotcha.
So
He's with the mustache, folks. It's very iconic. Check it out. All right. How did you get? Let's get your background info. How'd you start? How'd you get into fighting?
So specifically fighting, I started training. It's just a little over 9 years ago now. I was rodeoing, team roping a lot. I grew up in South Texas. I was going to school and just needed something else to do. So I needed some, I was fat, out of shape, didn't really have nothing going for me. I was like, man, I need something different. And I always want to have abs.
Yeah,
And
we all do.
Yeah. And there happened to be an MMA gym about half a mile from my house. And just started there. I had no intention of competing at all. I was terrified. Started training, loved it. And then about 3 months into training, one of the guys that trained at the gym had a fight booked. And I went and watched that. And that's when I was kind of like, man, I may be able to do this
Yeah.
a little. I got to at least try this one time. And tried it one time, and the rest is history. Now it's been all I do ever since.
So did you start off with Muay Thai or like going like directly into MMA?
I started in MMA,
Okay.
actually. I started primarily MMA. The reason I got so heavy into Muay Thai was because my parents hated it.
You were rebellious or what? Yeah.
Yes. It was the only my parents made me do kind of whatever I wanted to. I
Yeah.
did motocross, rodeo, played football. I did every dangerous sport you can do as a child.
Wow.
Growing up, I was always outdoors, and they for some reason just hated fighting. Still do hate fighting. And so what I did, because I couldn't fight locally because they'd find out about it, I
So this was all under the radar.
all under the
Okay.
radar. What I would do is, we had some fighters, they travel all over the country, these big Muay Thai tournaments. And a lot of these big tournaments we compete at are in Iowa,
Yeah.
believe it or not. And I would go just kind of help out, be a teammate, hold pads, whatever it is. And eventually I just started fighting. And as long as I didn't get home with any busted up nose and faces, they didn't know anything about it. And that's how I fought
That's
a
funny.
lot.
So obviously the Muay Thai was. Oh no. It got. Oh.
Oh, no.
Sorry, folks. So
It's the Matt mindset.
Yeah, the
It
Matt
was
mindset.
right
It
there.
was up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Muay Thai basically was just like a rebellious thing, just your way to kind of like branch out. Some guys get tattoos or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't so much a rebellious thing. It's something I really wanted to do. And I've always kind of been a very, like, if I want to do something, I'm going to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my way to do it, to fight, was to just do it kind of under the radar and travel out of state and fight and come home and not say anything about it. And
So you did the tournaments in Iowa and then you moved down here, or
yeah, so I moved to Houston. I moved to Houston in 2019, but all through when I started training, I would come up to Houston to train with Crew Bob at Main Street.
yeah.
Because I was going to school at A&M Kingsville, back home.
Okay.
And like spring break, winter break, summer break, instead of going with my friends and going to the beach and partying and stuff, I come up here, stay with Bob, go to the gym, train, and then once my break was over, go back home and go to school, train in my home gym, work and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Then once I got out of my undergrad, I moved up here full time.
Okay, I gotcha. So how come not pursue Muay Thai? What draws you? What drew you to Muay Thai more than MMA at beginning? Because now you're
The
an MMA
beginning
fighter.
was all
Yeah.
necessity. Just
Okay.
because my only avenue to fight was to fight Muay Thai because I couldn't really get away with fighting locally.
Yeah.
Um,
But was the goal always MMA?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much. There's just no, I love Muay Thai. Muay Thai is my first love in fighting. I love watching Muay Thai. I love the art of Muay Thai. I get super jazzed up from Muay Thai.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of future in Muay Thai in the U.S. There's no
Yeah.
money in it. There's no notoriety. There's just nothing.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to it. MMA is really where everything's at.
I mean, I feel like with one championship, they're doing some good things with the 4-ounce gloves and Muay Thai and like the ring, and they're also doing like grappling matches in a cage. They're doing Muay Thai matches in a cage. So I understand. I mean, maybe in the
Yeah.
States there's not so much growth, but I
Yeah.
feel like overseas.
But even then, that's only come up in the past few years.
yeah,
ONE FC.
Yeah.
But they are.
you're
Don't
good.
even knock that around. But no, one is doing the biggest thing so far in that
Yeah.
realm and kind of bringing Muay Thai to like a broader audience. They're having fights at Raja Stadium and things like that, and selling out and putting really good fights on. They just had Super Leg versus I cannot remember the Japanese guy's name, the kickboxer they just fought this past weekend.
Wasn't the guy who kicked his leg out like he blasted his leg so much and the dude never checked one kick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the highlight, bro. Fucking brutal.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Great fight.
Yeah.
Great fun to watch. And some of the truly some of the best strikers at an elite level are in ONE right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I've definitely been. I mean, I've seen Liam Harrison strike out of there and Super Lek and Sanchai and all those guys.
Big fan of all those guys.
Yeah, they're all monsters out there doing big things, and I feel like that helps the sport grow.
Oh yeah.
Having those guys out there and just duke it out, and plus, like all the highlights come to the States too.
Yeah.
And so, plus, I feel like also they're kind of competing with the UFC here and there with some of the MMA caliber guys that have there, like Demetrius Johnson and Super Sage Northcutt was a UFC and now he went to
Yeah.
ONE. Okay, so you found Main Street. How did you end up finding Main Street?
So I found Main Street through Crew Bob. I met Crew Bob through my very first MMA coach, Kurt Hubble,
Okay.
back in Calallen, where I'm from. He had trained with Crew Bob a bit, and I think the first time I ever actually met Crew Bob was at a seminar. He did a seminar with Corley, I think in San Antonio years ago, and went to that. It was when I first met him, and then he came down to that gym in my hometown and taught a seminar to some privates there, probably 6-7 years ago or
Yeah.
so. And then that's when I first really got to know him and train with them and such.
That's awesome. So you moved down here. You lived with him when you were here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I fought in 2019. I fought in the TBA Muay Thai Expo, the big tournament they have. Won that. And then I think a month or two later, I moved up here and lived with Bob and his wife for about 6 months. Trained at the gym full time, and
That's
he
awesome.
let me live there for 6 months and took great care of me. He still does, takes great care of
Yeah.
me, and until I was able to get on my feet and get my own place and
That's
move on
awesome.
and such. Yeah.
Yeah, he is a genuine dude for sure.
Oh, he's the best.
So how was your transition from Muay Thai to MMA? Besides the ground game, what was the biggest challenge?
When Bob loves to tell this story. Whenever I first came up here, when I fought Muay Thai, did a lot of kicking and clenching.
Right.
Could not box to save my life. Had no hands. And I remember one of the first times I came up to train, coach put me in with this amateur guy from Poland named Janek Zerklowicz was his name. And this kid beat me up every way to Sunday he possibly could the entire time. I was so frustrated. Like, didn't hurt me, but
Yeah.
I mean, picked me apart
Yeah.
and showed me like I have no hands. I need to work on this.
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of time transitioning kind of from a more kind of Muay Thai style base and rhythm, and then spend a lot of time learning how to box, how to use proper footwork, head movement,
Yeah.
and things like that. It's a very different sport altogether. It's a very different sport.
Absolutely. I mean, Muay Thai guys use their teeth to like measure, and boxers
Mhm.
obviously use the jab. And so I feel like, I mean, I started off with Muay Thai too, not as serious as you did, but like I did both at the same time, Muay Thai and boxing. And then I listen to guys who have done Muay Thai or boxing, and they try to like transition over, and they're saying like, oh shit, like the teeps or something I'm having struggle with, or like distance management or whatever. And that's interesting for
Yeah,
sure.
it's a different sport, and just like people talk about it's kind of the in thing now, right? To have like these boxers versus MMA fighters,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
like who's better? It's like, well, it depends on the rule set. It's
Yeah.
a totally different sport
Yeah.
altogether. I think that's and anyone who comes over from Muay Thai into MMA, you have to respect the fact that it's not the same thing. The footwork changes, your weapons change, the pace changes, the range changes. It's a totally different game. So if you're coming over a different sport to MMA, I think it's really important to take the things you're good at and take the real applicable parts of that art form, and then contextualize them into an MMA kind of format. You know, there are certain things in Muay Thai that I used to do or used to utilize, or way I used to move or stand that were great in Muay Thai for me. Did really well with that. But going to MMA, I'd try and spar with the guys, they're MMA fighters, and do that, and would just get smashed.
Like what things?
You know, being too tall, being too slow, staying kind of in the pocket, having the hips like riding me forward, like not ready to defend takedowns, not moving my head at all. You know, that was, I think, the biggest learning curve for me was not getting hit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, because I mean, you're right. Thai guys do stand up pretty tall.
Mhm.
That seems. How long did that take you to learn all this, or like train, like make
years.
the
I'm still
transition?
trying to figure it out all
Yeah.
the time. Every day, I feel like I'm trying to figure it out.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the point, I guess.
It took me probably a good 3 years to feel comfortable, to where like, okay, I'm starting to figure this out a little
Yeah.
bit, but still, I'm like all the time, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. So you said the pace changed. I mean, what's the differences? I'm assuming Muay Thai is a little slower, or is
Yeah.
it okay?
It's
Yeah.
slower. It definitely starts a lot slower. But then the rounds are shorter. And so
How many minutes are the rounds?
3 minutes.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Amateur Muay Thai is
Yeah.
2 minutes usually.
Oh, okay.
And professional is usually 3 minutes.
Gotcha.
I can't remember. Most of my fights were 2-minute rounds, which is fast. Very,
Yeah.
very fast. Going
Yeah.
from 2 to
5.
5
Yeah.
is a massive. and I had to learn that gap of like, hey, I can slow down. You know,
Right.
don't need to go so fast. Because it is a big jump. And then I feel like a lot of Muay Thai guys, you kind of stand in front. It's not quite so much in and out movement, not quite so much lateral movement typically. MMA, you need a lot more movement laterally, a lot of movement in and out. You can't just kind of sit
Yeah.
in one spot.
I feel like you're
a
not
lot.
as bladed in Muay Thai as well. You're more
That
square.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a real common thing too.
Yeah. So let's talk about your training regimen now. You got fights coming up here soon.
Mhm.
So just take me through life in J Bob's world?
So right now in camp, it varies a little depending on who I'm fighting and when I'm fighting. Right now, I'm fighting a heavy wrestler coming up in March. And so right now I'm doing a lot of wrestling, a lot of grappling. Usually the mornings from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. is training. And usually 2 of those hours are grappling training. And then the last hours, a little bit more striking. And that's just not me. So that's just our schedule in general.
Yeah.
Like we have 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. are usually grappling classes. And then 10 a.m. is like an MMA striking style class with kind of everything mixed together. And then, so I usually do that every morning. And then I'll come back in the evenings and I'll do like running. I'll do my bag work, my line drills, footwork drills, stuff like that, extra cardio, lifting. It kind of varies day by day, but I usually try and have like a harder session and then like a lighter session. So it's,
Gotcha.
a little bit of
Both.
everything.
So you're training twice a day. How many days a week?
Twice a day, 5 days a week.
Okay.
And then I usually hit like once on Saturday as well.
Just like mitts, or what do you do Saturdays?
Saturday usually sparring.
Okay.
It's a big
gotcha.
glove sparring day.
Okay. Put some
Yeah.
Vaseline and just bang it out, or what?
Yeah, not so much banging
Yeah.
out. It's a little more intense than with the small gloves.
Yeah.
Let's go a little bit harder and kind of just focus a lot on the strike, and we'll mix in takedowns and stuff as well. But it's a lot of takedowns, and then work back up and strike,
Gotcha.
and then hit takedowns and we're going to strike. It's not as much time spent on the ground because you've got big boxing gloves
Right.
on.
I have
Yeah.
noticed here recently that a lot of these MMA guys are, besides Sean Strickland, because he fucking spars like every day, but like a lot of them were like getting away from sparring hard.
Mhm.
What's your opinions and thoughts on that?
We spar hard, relatively hard, once a week, in camp. Usually when you're in camp once a week, you'll get like individual rounds where it's just like coaches there, or whoever your coaches are there with some of your teammates, and you're the only group sparring, like just you and a partner.
Headgear or no headgear?
It depends. It depends. It depends on kind of who it is and,
Yeah.
and how hard you're going. Because hard sparring, I have like Paul, for example. Me and Paul can go 100% and not hurt each other.
Right.
Like I know, like he's not gonna
Yeah.
crack me in the head. He's not gonna catch me with his knuckle. He's not gonna do something goofy that's gonna hurt me. I have other training partners that like you don't move as much together
Right.
or something like that, and that's when accidents tend to happen. So you tend to back it down a little bit. So it kind of varies person to person. But usually once a week we go pretty hard sparring. We do some form of light sparring, like contact kind of flow sparring, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's touch, it's flow, it's smooth. No one's getting cracked and hurt. Lips aren't getting busted. It's a lot more controlled. Just working on timing and rhythm and feints and setups and flowing and things like that.
I feel like that could definitely be beneficial, doing that more, because the timing aspect
Yeah.
gets better and
Yeah,
better.
well, and you see, like there's some gyms on Instagram right now that are popular for it, and they post their sparring
Oh, the guys.
footage, and they're just beating the hell out of each
Yeah.
other the whole time. And like some of it looks fun, but if you watch them, a lot of
But-
times technically it's all over the
Yeah.
place. Like it's
Yeah.
not technically sound.
Yeah.
A lot of times when guys just spar hard all the time, they get tough and they can, figure out how to make some things work. But I feel like you lack. I feel like it's hard to get better
Yeah.
in some ways whenever you just go hard all the time. I think
100%.
knocking it down and going 60%, 65% or so, and really working on being quick and being technical and looking for openings and setups and stuff, I think that is the best way to spar most of the time.
I agree 100%, because like you get a new guy in there that's like never sparred before, and you
Mhm.
go 100%, you crack him, and then he's like, "Fuck, I'm not doing this shit ever
Yeah.
again." And then you get guys who are like, "Okay, they've sparred before," and then you get in there and they want to work one specific thing, and then you crack them, and they're like, "Okay, I can't work this now. I have to work my defense because this fucking guy's going like 100%, trying
Yeah.
to take my head off, or we're both going 100%." It's hard to work on things
Yeah.
when you're sparring
And
hard.
it's stressful.
Yeah, very.
Sometimes I want to spar and have fun.
Yeah, just
You
want
know,
to
with my friends.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
want to be stressed out the whole
Right,
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're already stressed out 6 to 8 weeks during this camp, so
Yeah.
I'm glad it's going well so far. How do you recover throughout the week?
So that is actually something I'm working really hard at improving. I talked about like I'll have like a hard session, then a lighter session
Yeah.
and stuff. Used to it would just be all hard sessions all the time. I would
Yeah.
try and go super, super, super hard, and
can't do
I would fall apart. Yeah, my body would fall apart, and I'm really trying hard to get better at resting when I need to, taking vitamins, like take care of my body, eating the right amounts, listen to my body so that I can perform well. And like on days when I need to, like, hey, I need to sit down this day and rest, take
Yeah.
that day, training the next day. I don't need to kill myself every single session.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm really trying to get better at, is the recovery side of it. I found with me the biggest improvement I've made for this camp thus far is eating properly, as in
Oh.
eating more.
Really?
Yeah, I would tend to kind of crash myself and not eat, and because here's the thing.
Well, you fight at what, 145? right?
145.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm 45. I
Yeah.
fought at 55 most of my fights. In the last two, I've gone down to 45.
Yeah.
And this one's at 45, that's where I'll stay.
Yeah.
But as a fighter, one of the most stressful parts about fighting is making weight.
Absolutely.
And so I would freak out about making weight and wouldn't eat,
Calorie deprive
run
yourself,
myself
yeah.
in the ground. My body's breaking down. I feel terrible,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I hate this, you know.
Yeah.
But luckily for this camp, we've had a lot of notice. I knew I was, going to fight, so I had a lot of time to slowly kind of, get my weight where it needs to be,
Yeah.
and get in camp and get flowing and set myself up properly so it's a smooth run through camp. My last fight, I got the contract for my fight on a cruise.
Oh.
And I
So
got
you-
home, and I knew
Yeah.
I was gonna have a fight coming up, so I didn't go ham on this cruise like I wanted to. Okay,
Yeah.
I ate, with the exception of like one day, I ate really good in this cruise. But I'm not a little bitty guy, so on the Monday I got back to start camp, I was 6 weeks out of the fight, and I was 183.
Oh God damn.
So I had like 40 pounds to lose
Yeah.
in 6 weeks. Yeah.
Holy shit.
That was not a fun camp at all.
Yeah.
And it showed in the fight too.
Yeah.
You know? So trying to really prioritize like taking care of my body the way I need to during camp. And
What do you walk around at now?
right now I'm about mid-70s.
Okay.
Right now. Yeah. I walk around about 180.
No
typically.
shit. Wow.
Yeah. Typically comfortably outside of camp, eating relatively good, training, staying active, about 180 is what I stay at.
And when do you start? So I know some guys do just like, Michael Chandler cuts like 20 pounds of water.
Yeah.
How many weeks out would you, I guess it would be the week of the water cut, but are you tapering your diet during the camp to get
Yeah.
down to like 155 or something like that to
No.
cut the 10 pounds?
I'll get down to like 64.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually I'll diet down from upper 70s, 180 or so, down to the low 60s,
Yeah.
and then fight week cut from the low 60s to 46,
Man.
which has gone pretty smooth.
Yeah.
The last, honestly, smoother than I thought it was going
Really?
to. The last few times, yeah, because the last fight was only the second fight to make 45, and
Did you make it like on the dot or were you 146?
oh, it was easy. Yeah, no, it wasn't bad at all. It
Oh,
wasn't
shit.
hard. Yeah, I made it. The last time I weighed at 45.0, like
Wow.
at 45. It's actually not as hard as it sounds, because it is. I mean, it is a bunch of weight on fight week that I cut, but
Yeah.
I've done it a bunch.
Yeah.
So even though I wasn't cutting 245 for a long time, I've cut weight so many times that I've kind of started over time figure out my body and figure out how I react to things, and when I just need to suck it up and just keep working and I'll be okay. How I do my water load properly. Also, I'm very fortunate in that I have a lot of great resources, and I have a lot of teammates who have a lot of fights themselves. They've cut weight a lot themselves. One of our guys, Gabriel Macario,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I always, every time someone comes to me about a weight cut question, I always send people to him, because now he's like getting certified and like getting certifications from like Mike Dolce to really understand the weight cut process. But before that, I would always ask him questions because he's a nerd about it. He
Yeah.
just loves,
Yeah.
look at him. He's
Nutrition,
jacked
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Like he loves nutrition, shredded. Loves nutrition, loves the science of it, and nerds out about that. So I would always ask him like, hey, what should I be doing fight week? What should I be eating? My weight's not moving. What do you think I should try and change up? And he's been a massive help
Yeah.
for me.
That's awesome.
So I've been able to utilize a lot of the resources around me to make it easier on myself.
So how do your water cuts go? I know most guys they're like, oh, I water load or whatever, and I try to explain it because if this video is terrible, then it's just going to be audio. So, like, can you explain the water
Yeah.
loading? Yeah.
For sure. So water loading is basically just the process of basically you consume so much water that your body has like a surplus of fluids in it, and it pushes it out, and then towards the end of the week you deplete that water so that you're still pushing water out as if you're drinking it, because it takes a minute for your body to kind of catch up to the different water intake. And so like my weight cuts the first 3 days of the week on a fight week will be 2 gallons of water every day.
3 days.
2.
No,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
first
3
3
days.
days. Like Monday,
about 3
weigh-in
days.
Friday, Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, 2 gallons.
Yeah, 2 gallons. Then I'll do like a gallon and then like a half gallon. And the day before weigh-ins will be like a bottle of water if I want it, like 24 hours out. And then from there it just sweats off me.
So from like Monday to Friday, when you're drinking these 2 gallons, are you getting in like the sauna at night, doing sauna suit work throughout the week?
I
or-
used to.
Yeah.
I used to every day on fight week.
Sweat out as much
Work
as you can.
out, yeah, sweat out just a ton
Yeah.
of water. And what ended up happening is I just beat my body down too much on
Yeah.
fight week. And now, and thanks to listening like Gabe, is I just work out like normal. Like for fight week for me now is pretty much like any normal week, except my diet will change a little bit. I'll kind of reduce my intake of food, weigh up my intake of fluids, and I sweat so much as it is, and just train.
Yeah.
And I found, because I would freak out because you drink 2 gallons of water and your weight goes up,
Yeah.
right? But I found that if you just train normal and do your normal routine and just drink that water and don't put a bunch of sodium and carbs, extra carbs and sodium in your system, then you pee that water out and you sweat it out, and it's not, you kind of, you'll gain a little bit of weight, but then
Yeah.
once you start to taper off, it plummets real
Yeah.
fast. So I don't anymore. I used to. Now I don't put the trash bag suit on, like the sauna suit on, and sweats until
It's
like
the worst.
the day before weigh-ins.
The worst.
Yeah, I'll do one heavy workout, because I like to work out to sweat if I can, if I have the
Yeah.
energy, because I've always kind of done, and for some reason I feel like I can push out more.
Yeah.
That way when I first do it, I'll do like one heavy workout where it's like running, biking, sauna, and sweat out a bunch then, and then the last 5 or 6 pounds I'll do in the tub and just sweat it out
Yeah.
that way.
So you taper your diet. Are you like not eating salt this week either? Because I know some guys will just bland food.
I'll cut out salt like middle of the week.
Yeah. Okay.
Middle of the week. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, honestly, a whole lot about sodium manipulation. I know
Yeah.
there's a whole science to it. I've always heard that if you cut sodium out too early, it can have negative effects.
Yeah.
So I usually wait. If I'm waiting on Saturday, I usually wait till like Thursday, Wednesday-ish to kind of cut out sodium. And even then, I drastically reduce.
Yeah.
Like it's not zero sodium. It's
Yeah.
drastically reduced sodium. To be honest, I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to sodium in fight camp because I just sweat so much.
Yeah.
And
You're sweating
know,
it out anyways.
yeah.
I feel like that's one of those options where you're like, oh shit, I'm behind on my weight cut, and I can't retain any water.
yeah.
You know? So let's take the sodium out of it. But I've never done it myself, so I don't know if that's an
Yeah,
actual.
I know there's a way to, like, water load. There's a way to salt load as well,
Yeah.
apparently. Because I've seen people do it, but I mean, people with like very high end nutritionists will do
For
it.
sure.
They'll salt load, in which they
Like add salt to their water.
add salt.
Yeah.
They're drinking
Yeah.
salty water basically during those 2 gallons of water full of salt,
Yeah.
and then they'll replace it with something else later in the week, and it pushes the salt out.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know enough about it to really use it. I need to learn more about it because it would probably make my weight cut easier if I did it.
It's definitely science, though.
Yeah,
You
there's
have
a
to-
lot of science to it.
Yeah.
There's
When I
a
was
lot of
talking to Matt
science it.
Schnell, he was like, I have a UFC nutritionist come, and like they make sure that the guys like get the calories and their weights on point,
Mhm.
like the week of. But for the local guys, it's kind of you're on your own type
Yeah.
stuff. So what happens in Fury if you don't make weight? I know usually in the UFC they're like, okay, doc, taxing some of your purse. Is this the same concept?
Everyone gets mad at you. I've not had to experience that myself.
Yeah,
Things
good.
happen, and guys, their bodies don't react correctly, and they don't make it. Sometimes, I think it varies situation. Usually you have to pay a part of your purse out like per pound you are over to your opponent.
Yeah.
And they can vary contract to contract, and like promotion to promotion. Yeah, usually it's a monetary fee, or sometimes the fight doesn't happen. I mean, I'm of the opinion if you miss weight, then your opponent has no obligation to fight you at that
Yeah.
point. Like, because that's what you get paid for more than anything is to make weight.
Right.
So that's the hardest part of it. So I think if you miss weight, your opponent's not obligated to take that fight. And if they do, then that's awesome, cool.
thanks.
And then you just pay their whatever monetary fine you got to pay to do that. But it definitely doesn't. It doesn't win you favor with anyone to miss weight.
No, I for sure. So if a guy misses, does Fury give him like an hour or so to try to get it off?
I think that's kind of standard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a state commission thing. I don't think it's a
Okay.
promotion thing. I think it's a commission that you get like an hour to cut the weight.
Gotcha.
And you come back an hour later and weigh in again. And at the very, I know of some stories in which some guys are like, I ain't cutting the weight, and they just give
Oh,
up on
shit.
it and not fighting. I know some people who, most of the time, they'll go and they'll finish.
Yeah.
They'll make the weight, they'll cut the weight and stuff like that. Some guys will go gone for an hour and come back and weigh the exact same.
That sucks.
It kind of depends. Sometimes your body just doesn't want to lose it.
Yeah.
Sometimes your body just stops sweating.
Yeah. That's how you go on like kidney failure and stuff like that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Some of your body just stops sweating. It just can't drop it anymore. And you gotta think too, because like I said, making weight's the most stressful thing about fighting for me. I can be underweight. And every time I go to weigh in, I am always
Am I gonna be a
anxious.
few pounds
I'm
over?
going to be over and have to cut weight again. The thought of like putting on a sauna suit and going to
Yes.
run or sitting in a sauna
Yeah.
longer is just terrible. So
Yeah.
it's hard whenever you go to weigh in and they're
Oh,
like,
for sure.
cut some more weight.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fuck.
yeah, that would be a tough one.
So let's talk about your rehydration process. What do you do for? I know you can't obviously just go chug 2 gallons of water.
Yeah,
does it work?
I mean, you're not
What do you-
supposed to.
Yeah.
I've definitely done that. Ultimately, I have found I really like those liquid IVs.
I love those.
Liquid IVs, yeah. When I'm not cutting weight, I don't like them. But when I'm cutting weight and I want to replenish, liquid IVs are awesome.
Yeah.
Arizona sweet tea. That's my.
Whoa.
So hey, it's sugar and water. It's
Yeah.
good for rehydration. It has to be, right? I love some
It
sweet
has
tea.
to
It
be.
has
This
to be.
has to be.
I need carbs. I need fluids. Sweet tea. I think it's
Yeah.
it's the secret that no one knows about.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell
Fair.
everybody. But I do drink sweet tea after weigh-ins. But really, liquid IVs I think are great, and then just straight water. Pedialyte's always a good one. One of the the trick I learned is after weigh-ins, food wise, because you want to eat something, but you
Sure.
got to let the fluid kind of get in your body and your stomach and your organs before you can eat anything. Because if not, your body just doesn't absorb anything. You feel sick. It's terrible. The first thing I'll eat after weigh-ins typically is I'll get like a bread roll, like a bread loaf, and chicken broth or beef broth. Heat that broth up, tear some bread off, and dip it in that broth. It is the best thing you'll ever eat. It is so good. When you're hungry and
Yeah,
dehydrated, just that bread, because it soaks in the warm
Yeah.
broth, just falls apart. Your body soaks it up. You get all the sodium and stuff from the broth.
And it's warm, so you reabsorbs.
It's warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best. Then after that, it's a lot of like just normal food.
Gotcha.
We'll go and last couple of fights, me and my girl after weigh-ins will go to like a Japanese barbecue place just down the road from the
Oh.
apartment and get some good Japanese barbecue with some rice and meat and just
Perfect.
eat.
That's excellent.
Yes.
I've seen some guys, they do it all wrong, and they get in the cage, and it's like you're like, bro, you look sluggish. You fucked up.
Yeah.
Somehow. Like,
It can make a massive difference.
yeah, it can. It really can.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like if you have a bad weight cut and you're all drawn in and you're just
Mhm.
skin and bones, then same thing. Like 24 hours is a long time per se, but to rehydrate yourself,
Yeah.
you got to do it correct.
Yeah.
You said you're taking vitamins and stuff. What kind of vitamins are you taking in supplementation?
Like every day, like vitamins.
Like vitamin
just
C,
like-
vitamin D, just
yeah.
multivitamins.
Yeah, just like multivitamins. Yeah. That's how little recovery and like take care of my body I do. Is a daily multivitamin is like
Just-
step one in the right direction for me.
Are you doing like ice baths and stuff too, or no?
I don't do ice baths just because I hate it. I don't.
They're tough. They're fucking
I
tough.
don't see the benefit. I've never gotten an ice bath and felt better.
Oh,
Ever.
really?
Not once.
Oh,
I've
dude.
never gotten out an ice bath and been like, oh, I'm glad I did that. I feel better today. Not once. I
Oh.
always
I have.
just really. I
Oh,
just
yeah,
hate
dude.
it.
I remember when I was a few summers ago in Torres Jiu-Jitsu, and it was hot as shit. And they had like this horse trough, and they just
Mhm.
dumped a bunch of ice in there. They're like, who wants to take an ice bath? I was like, nah, I'm good. And then the professor, Michael Torres, was like, you don't want to take one? And I felt bad, and I was like, fuck, you just guilted me. So right after that, I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll stick around. And I saw one guy get in, and he lasted like 30 seconds, and he got out, and I was like, man, fuck this. I'm staying in there for the time.
Yeah.
And as soon as I stepped in there, I was like, oh, this is a mistake.
Yeah.
And I've made it through the time because I was like, I'm not getting out of this thing. Once I get in, I'm
Yeah.
staying in. And then, but when I got out, getting that sun on you, I was like, oh man,
Well,
feel,
yeah, because you
feel
got the
great.
warmth on you. After
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's what it was. You were freezing cold. And you got in the sun. You felt good
Exactly,
afterwards.
yeah.
Of course, you felt
I was
good
like,
afterwards.
oh man, I feel
Oh, no.
great. This is
I know there's a
amazing.
lot of like people way smarter than I am that say that like it's scientifically proven to help.
Yeah,
I have not I have not experimented with it enough to experience that benefit, I guess.
I did one at a guy's, one of my close friends, Rob, his house,
Mhm.
and he, well, his tub wasn't big enough. He was like, he called me up, and I was sore, and I was like, hey, bro, I think I need to take an ice bath. He was like, oh, just come over. My tub's big enough. I was like, is it like a regular sized tub? He was like, no, it'll fit. And he like sent me a photo of like him in it with like regular clothes on. I was like, but it was only like from the chest up.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. It must be deeper than I think. And we get over there, and it's like a fucking regular child's tub. I'm like, Rob, how
Like
did
a-
you
like a-
expect
like a
me
kiddie
to fit
pool?
in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to lay down on it and curl up in a fetal
yeah,
position,
I
and
was
you
like,
can fit
dude,
like
it was
70% of you.
Yeah, it was like my feet and ankles were covered, and then my knees were out of the water like mountains, and then like my just chest was covered, or like right here was covered, and that's about it. And I was like,
Yeah.
this didn't do anything.
What I do like is sauna.
yeah,
I do enjoy a sauna. Like if I'm like a little sore and worn down, like sitting in the sauna for a while and sweating,
Yeah.
that, I do think that
definitely
that
helps. Do
Yeah.
you stretch a lot more or no,
I don't. I need to. I don't. I'm,
know
I'm
what's-
terrible at this.
bro?
Yeah.
You know what's so crazy? Every fighter that I've talked to so far, none of them fucking stretch,
No.
except for maybe like, no, I can't think of anyone that I'm trying to think. Nobody.
Yeah.
I interviewed Zach Henson, and he was like, "No, I don't stretch. I need to, but I just don't." He was like, "I'm never gonna kick someone in the head, so I just don't do it." I was like, "Damn." And then yeah, everyone else has been like, "Oh, just here and there, foam rolling more than anything."
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. I
"Shit."
think something that I've always tell myself I want to do more of or kind of get into, because I've never really done it, is yoga.
Oh, dude, yeah,
Yoga. And people like to hate on it, but like
No,
I
it's-
think yoga is great.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
And
beneficial.
it's super physical.
Yeah,
It's hard.
it is.
But it stretches you and makes you work. And I think the what do you call it, isometric hold you do, where
Mhm.
you just kind of freeze and hold
Yeah.
yourself up. I think that's really beneficial for fighting. Period. You know, I mean, a lot of like jujitsu is a lot of those like isometric holds and strains and pushing. You know, like it's not as dynamic. You're holding positions a lot, which taxes your muscles.
I
you know?
took a yoga class in college because I needed an A, and and so I took it, and I didn't realize how hard it was. I was like, oh, I'll just take yoga. Fuck it, you know.
Yeah,
I was trying to be more flexible, and I tell you what, my flexibility shot up. And I'm
really.
like, oh yeah,
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're holding the thing, but you're also like elongating your muscles, and like you're using your stabilizers to keep yourself up. It's really good for your balance, and you just feel good afterwards too.
You ever done Pilates?
No, I
Dude,
haven't.
I mean,
That's the one with the little board.
I don't
where
know
it,
that
like,
it's super like helpful for fighting, but that will fuck you up. If you're gonna do something that's like, oh, this sucks. Try some Pilates.
Well, like you sit on like is it like sliding board?
There's like, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a weird like I don't know what mad genius just
Yeah.
designed this contraption they use, but it's like a weird like sliding platform
Yeah.
with like springs
Oh yeah.
on
yeah.
like a base. It's a very strange. I don't know where it comes from. It's a strange setup, but
Yeah.
it sucks.
And
make you tired.
like every time because like I guess the springs know like, oh, you're getting looser. I can go further into the stretch. Or so how do you know how those machines work?
I've done it one time.
Okay.
I know very, very little.
So no.
And the whole time I was like, this was a bad idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've never done that before. I've always wanted to try. I just never. I don't even know.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
but,
I'll take
like,
your word for it.
Yeah.
Have you ever done bar?
Bar.
It's like you know those what the ballet people do, and it's like
No.
the bar, the mirror. Yeah, dude. It's,
I have not.
yeah.
That, that's another thing is like professional like ballet dancers are some of the most athletic,
Dude.
like fit people you'll ever
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so strong and so flexible too.
Yeah.
I've heard
yeah.
the bar shit is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like hard and like stretches you to the max. I know JJ Watt or some NFL players used to do it because of the recovery and it keeps you limber and stuff, prevents all your injuries and whatnot. I've never done it, but I've always wanted to give it a shot.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I always tell the story. I've always wanted to go like the Houston Nutcracker like production.
Yeah.
Because back home in Corpus Christi, we would go every now and then. I've gone a couple times, and Corpus is not a very big place. But every year they have this big production and they bring in like a couple professionals from like other big cities or whatever to be in this. I know we're off MMA, we're on
Oh,
the
dude, it's
ballet
cool.
right now, but in this
all
in
good.
this production, right? And
Yeah.
every time I would see it, and I'd be like, the last time I went was years ago. There was this dude who was like a professional dancer, and this guy was jacked, and he was spinning and just flying through the air on his own power. I was like, man, that guy's an athlete.
Yeah.
Like that guy's way more athletic than I am.
Those guys are crazy athletic. You're right. All right, we can circle back to MMA.
We can talk
now.
about MMA now. We're off ballet.
So you train at Main Street primarily. Are you
Mhm.
Do you cross train anywhere else, or how does?
Not really.
Yeah,
Not really. And it's like I love cross training. I've cross trained a lot.
I feel like Main Street brings in a lot of
We
guys.
kind of have a lot though.
Yeah.
We've got a great coaching staff.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of great training partners. We've got great wrestling. We have classes specific for ground and pound, for cage work. We have great striking, boxing. So I think cross training is great. I just personally, as of late, just haven't really done it because I don't feel like I have much of a
Yeah.
need right now. You know,
Yeah.
if I need to like I need to work my boxing. We got guys that I get in a ring with that'll piece me up in boxing. It's like I need to work on my kickboxing or whatever. I need to work on my jiu-jitsu. We got guys that'll strangle me. I need to work on my wrestling. I got guys that can wrestle fuck me all day long. Like
Yeah.
so I don't. I used to a lot more,
Yeah.
but now that we've got the crew that we kind of have assembled at Main Street, I kind of get everything I need there.
I also feel like I said, I think Main Street brings in so many people
Mhm.
because of obviously you have Derek Lewis that was out of the gym and
Mhm.
that kind of blew up, and then everyone knows Bob now, which
Yeah.
is fantastic. I love it, and so they're like, oh, while I'm here in Houston, let me come to this gym, and you get to see different looks from
Yeah.
different caliber guys. Kevin
Yeah.
Holland's coming in. I saw Tyreek Hill just stopped by.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you're getting looks from very high caliber guys
Yeah.
too, which is great.
And it goes to show the level of coach that like Crew Bob is, right?
Yeah.
Because as a head coach, he knows a ton,
Yeah.
but he is very, very good at making sure that we are surrounded by coaches that will make us all better.
Yeah.
Like he brings in, like, we have the coaches and we have the teammates and stuff to make sure that we're getting all the work as we can and get as beneficial work as we can at the gym.
Absolutely.
When
I was there taking photos a few months back, I noticed like everyone who had fights coming up, he was like, hey, he was tapering game plans for each person
Yeah.
throughout the gym. And it's so crazy because it's almost like he's got all this shit in his head already,
Yeah.
but he's just like imparting it to you to do.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And he does truly care about the fighters.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
He loves the fighters and the gym and the sport and the art.
Yeah.
And he does. The way he coordinates, like making sure everyone gets what they need, everyone gets, hey, you need to work on this, you need to work on this, we're gonna do this right here.
Yeah.
The way he makes sure everyone gets the pad work they need and stuff like that. It goes to show like the level of coaching
Yeah.
that he has.
Absolutely. And sometimes I feel like he is hard nosed to an extent because you have to be. I mean, you can't play fighting; it's just not
Yeah.
regular. But at the same time, you'll be like, "Hey, I have a question," and he's like, "Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Ask me whatever you want." He's very open and very eager to answer and help
Yeah.
all the fighters learn, which is it's great to see. I love it.
Yeah.
So speaking of MMA and fighting, do you have any goals for your MMA career?
My goal is to be in the UFC till I'm in my mid-30s.
How old
That's
are you
my
now?
goal. 28. I just turned 28.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my goal, is to have a make it to the next year or so, make it to the next level and stay in it for kind of the remainder of my career.
I mean, Fury is the feeder. So
I think Fury is the best regional promotion in the country right now,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So your next fight is when? March?
March 10th.
Right. Any idea? Let's say any. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess I'm losing my train of thought here. Any. I don't know. CTE's kicking in, I guess. I guess I'm trying to formulate it, but I'm like, okay, I don't know how this is going to sound coming out. So, how many fights in Fury is this for you?
This will be my third fight in Fury.
Okay. And 2-0 right now, correct?
3-0
Okay.
with
okay.
one no contest.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So this next fight coming up, is there any suggestion of you getting on the Contender Series? There we go. Figured it out.
There you go. You got there.
Yeah.
Not yet right now. I don't, if, come out and win this one, that's supposed to be at 4-0. It's still a little, I still got some stuff I got to do,
Yeah.
for myself and my team and for, anyone who's looking at me to show that I'm ready for that next stage. But it's all just a process. It's all learning and building and stuff like that. I'm still young. I'm not in a major rush.
Yeah.
I don't have to be in a major rush. But I'm hoping to rack up 3 more this year, and then at the end of the year, that'll be the time, if everything goes to plan, to start, looking at the next phase of things.
How does it typically go for a guy to get from Fury into the UFC?
It depends on who in a lot of ways. Some guys come up and they have the right management and the right team around them, the right connections, and they get seen that way. Some guys are just really fun to watch, and they throw them in there. A lot of it has to do, though, with management and having the right people to pull the right strings for you, and then performing, right?
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of guys who have good records, who win fights, who perform really well, that haven't gotten that call just due to a lack of entertainment value, So that's another thing too. As any young fighter, me, any other guys like me in my position with these young records who are trying to come up into the next level, it's not about winning fights. It's about winning fights and being entertaining to watch while you do it.
Yeah.
Which is always something that I always have in the back of my head while I'm fighting, is like, I have to win this fight. I gotta get this done, but I also gotta make this entertaining to watch, because that matters a lot.
Does that ever mess with your head during the fight?
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. No. I like having fun.
Yeah.
I fight the best when I'm having fun, having a good time.
Yeah.
And, doing fancy stuff is the funnest thing for me to
Yeah.
do. So
Yeah.
it really doesn't.
I feel like you really have to be in a good headspace for that too, because you're out there, you're across the cage from this dude who wants to hurt you. You want to hurt him, and then you're thinking about, I have to, obviously win. I want to win, but when you have these goals and aspirations like you have, and like you just said, it's entertainment value as well. You think about, I gotta make this a good, entertaining fight. I don't just want to win like GSP wrestling, just take him down and stay in guard and stuff like that. Not saying no knock GSP is great, but he was already in the UFC when this was
he's doing it
happening,
at a much different level. Yeah.
yeah. So for new guys, I would think it would be difficult, but
Yeah, you have to you can't think about it too much.
yeah,
I think, at least for me, I can't think a whole lot when I go into fights. I have to relax and just enjoy being there, enjoy the crowd, enjoy the noise, enjoy the energy, enjoy the opportunity, enjoy the fact of getting in a fist fight. It's at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun.
yeah,
So, and it's cool.
Yeah.
So it's a cool thing to say that you go and fight people in a cage. So
Yeah.
I think it's just about enjoying in the moment. And I think that everyone kind of has that battle of the nerves and the thoughts and anxiety that goes into it. And I think it's just about compartmentalizing it and blocking certain things out and embracing it and just going with the flow.
How do you deal with the nerves? I know you said you don't really get nervous, but everybody gets nervous. of
Oh, I
course.
get nervous. Yeah, I get nervous. For I know of only person I know was a buddy of mine who said he didn't get nervous, and I believed him, and he's pretty much insane.
Yeah.
Anyone who tells you they're not nervous or anxious for a fight is either lying
yeah.
or insane.
Yeah. For sure.
And yeah, everyone I think gets nervous for sure, right? It's a nerve-wracking thing. And for the longest time I did try and just kind of ignore it. It's good, whatever.
push it
I've
down,
got 20 something fights now, just be like, it's just another day, whatever. And it is just another day, right? Just, it's something I've done a lot, but I've found that it's good to be a little nervous. It's good. It makes you perform better, to be a little anxious and know that there are stakes on the line of wins, losses, getting hurt. It's part of the game. I think it's really good to kind of learn to embrace those feelings and dance with those feelings and kind of know that they're there to help you, not hurt you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is crazy to be like, oh, I'm not nervous. I'm about to go get punched in the face. I'm
Yeah.
not nervous.
It's a lie. That's
Yeah,
what that is.
for
It's a
sure.
lie.
I mean, you're right. The nerves help you.
Yeah.
If anything, that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
You know?
The anytime I have fought and didn't have nerves or anxiety, fight didn't go well.
Yeah.
Which only been a couple times, but every time I've gone into a fight without that anxiety or didn't or tried to block that anxiety out and didn't just let it kind of guide me a little bit, it didn't fight. It was not a good performance, you know? So I've kind of found that before a fight, I'll kind of sit and breathe and really just,
Yeah.
take in all the feelings I have and then accept it and then use it and go fight,
Awesome. I love it. Do you have any plans for after fighting? Have you thought that far ahead?
A little bit, not in extreme detail. I would love one day to get into some kind of property investment and stuff like that. I always want to coach. I'll always be involved in the sport in some way. I'd love to coach one day, and have a gym and such. For right now, I don't know what else I would do right now, to be honest. I've got degrees, I've been to school and stuff like that, but I've never been one to want a normal
9 to 5.
it never really, it always just sounded torturous to me, and so I kind of am going 100 miles an hour in this direction for right now, and whenever that time comes, it's hey, I need to start thinking about what I'm going to do after this, then I'll sit down and try and figure it out then. But I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into what I would do afterwards right now.
I mean, you've got these goals in mind, and they're very obtainable here soon. So I think it's great. I mean, sometimes I think it depends on the person, really. I think it just depends on, like you said, where you're at in your career, how old you are, if you have degrees, if you don't, et cetera. You do have the degrees. You could always fall back on those if necessary.
And that's why I got them.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell all my friends or anyone I know who's going on high school or something like that. These kids, they never go to the gym. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to do." I tell them figure out what you want to do that you love, and then either learn a trade or get a degree that's useful, and then you may never use it again, and you may just find something that you love and you can do that. But have something that's
you have to have a plan B.
Yeah, you have to have something that you can fall back on one day, because I can be super successful fighting. I am not going to be fighting forever. Only you you have a limited window of how much you can fight. Unless you're Conor McGregor or John Jones, whatever, you're not going to retire off those winnings and live the rest of your life just happy-go-lucky. Yeah, with not doing something else. So I think it's important to at least think long-term, in the sense that have something that can carry you on after you move on from this phase.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's perfect advice, to be honest with you. And I also think that we've done a pretty good job here today. We're kind of wrapping this thing up.
That was fast. Really?
Yeah, dude, about 53 minutes right now.
That was quick.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Sorry, Joe Rogan, I can't do the 3 hours. Do you have any call-outs, any shout-outs, any plugs, anything you want to say? The mic is yours. You open mic right now.
Oh, I wish I would have prepared something. No. Thanks for having me on. Shout out to Main Street. You always come check the gym out. Main Street Boxing and Muay Thai. Follow me on Instagram, jbobberry. I'm fighting for Fury March 10th. Fury 87, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Or something like that. Yeah, so DM me for tickets. Also, I'm selling, I don't know if you saw my last fight, my brisket shirt.
Oh, I did, yeah.
Yes, I'm doing pre-orders for those right now. So again, DM me. We're doing $25 for the pre-order. I'm going to put the order here next couple weeks. I'm trying to fill the arena with brisket shirts. So if you want a brisket shirt, hit me up. It's the sexiest shirt in Fury FC. You'll look better.
It is a good shirt. It's classic.
A great shirt.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
But anyways, Jacob, thank you for coming on. You can catch Jacob back in action March 10th. This has been the Matt Mindset. I'm Drew Elder, and I hope everyone has a great day. I'm sorry about the video, guys. Hopefully next time it'll go better. But again, Catch him back in action March 10th for Fury 86, 87, one of those things. This has been the Bat Mindset. I'm Drew Elder. Have a great day.